Thank you so much to Book of the Month for partnering with me on today's video. I'm not on BookTok yet. This one, I had to go for one that was more smutty. If you're gonna threaten a character with death, I kind of want to have a character threatened with death. You can really tell that Ali Hazelwood is passionate about academia. I don't know why, it cracks me up. Hey besties, it's Joel, and today I'm coming at you with the third installment in my romance reading vlog series, where today we're going to be having a look at BookTok's most popular romances. I hope you're doing very well and that you're looking after yourselves. If you've yet to take that drink of water, please do so. You must remain well and hydrated. As for me, I always have my trusty cup of tea, and this is also your chance to get your beverage of choice, sit down, chill, relax. And if you've yet to check out my Instagram nor my Twitter, I would highly recommend you go check those out as well, because I post some extra bookish content that you're not gonna see here. Okay, so I'm really excited to be checking out BookTok's most popular romances today, because there are some really good picks here, and there's one book that like isn't necessarily a romance, but has been highly hyped because of its romance, so I've decided to sneak it in there as well. Plus, BookTok as a platform is so interesting, and so being able to take a look at some of the books that they have recommended is going to be a very interesting look into like BookTok as a platform. But before we get into it, we do have a message from the sponsor of today's video, and so I'm going to throw on over to sponsor Joel in order to tell you all about that. Hello besties. Once again, I'd like to thank Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. Book of the Month is a super popular book service for readers located within the US, with their main objective to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover books that they'll love. Each month, they create a selection of new and newly released titles for you to choose from, so that you have more time to devour the amazing stories. Plus, it is risk-free, so you can skip any month and any time and you won't be charged. I was sent all of Book of the Month's February picks, which were Vladimir, a darkly humorous exploration of gender and power following a female professor in the midst of a scandal. Don't Cry for Me, following a father who uses letters to express his love for his estranged son. A River Enchanted, showing how unexplained disappearances draw a reluctant hero back to his island home to confront spirits. Peach Blossom Spring, a multi-generational epic tracing the enthralling story of a mother and son who journey from China to America. And finally, The Golden Couple, a twisty tale of a therapist with unconventional methods trying to unlock the mystery of a perfect marriage. Whilst my favourite cover of the month has to go to Vladimir, I think the book that I'm most excited for is A River Enchanted, because confronting spirits just sounds really intriguing to me. Plus, this just gives like very good fantasy vibes, and I'm very excited for it. And so if that sounds great to you and you have a US-based shipping address, then you can use the link in my description and use code FATES in order to get your first Book of the Month box for only $9.99. And now let us get back to me reading BookTok's most popular romances. Okay, so before I introduce the books to you, I kind of wanted to go over BookTok a little, because BookTok is a platform that has just grown and blown up over the past like 2 years, I would say, and it's just been amazing to see the different types of people that we come across on BookTok and like the different types of readers. I just find it to be such like a burgeoning platform, and it just growing in so many different ways. Like, I'm not on BookTok yet, but it's a platform that I definitely want to try and grow on this year. It's one that I think would do really well in like just boosting more stories out there and just boosting other stories that I do on this channel anyway. And so just being able to transition my content to another platform as well would be very good, but I'm not really sure yet. There's like this kind of, I'm kind of scared to do it, you know, like scared to like put myself out there, but I just gotta get over that and then start creating it, and then I'm sure it'll be fine. I do have a video planned in regards to like BookTok and like TikTok as a whole. I do have some further thoughts in regards to BookTok as a platform, and I think it's something that I'll discuss near the end as we come to wrap up this video, so we can generally see like whether BookTok does recommend good books for me personally, and just seeing that in its entirety. But for now, my general consensus is that BookTok is a great platform to discover and discuss books. And whilst I would love to see like more queer books being popular on TikTok and just more queer romances being popular on TikTok, this is still a very new platform for readers, and so I think it's going to take a bit of time for us to slowly start seeing that kind of growth. But hopefully one day we'll get to see more queer books being popular, we'll get to see more books by people of colour being popular, and so I'm hoping that we'll see that in the future. But for now, let us get into the books that I plan on reading for this vlog. And so we have the very first book, which is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I basically started reading this whilst I was in Mallorca in Spain, because I was like, Spain, Spanish love deception, you know, but I didn't get to do a lot of reading whilst there. But now that I'm home, I'm really hoping that I get to continue this and give you all of my thoughts at the end of this book. I'm not gonna say how I feel about it so far, but let's just say it's good. Then we have The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. We love like a kind of witchy romance, you know. Then we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Probably the most popular book that I've seen recommended besides The Spanish Love Deception. I love the idea of like a sciencey romance. Plus this is also Raylo fanfic, so we'll see how that goes. Then we have number 4, which is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Her other book, Book Lovers, is one of my most anticipated reads for 2022, so I feel like I wanted to acquaint myself with Emily Henry's works beforehand. And then this one, I had to go for one that was more smutty and also quite popular, but also a bit like absurd. And so I went for Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, because this one went popular for quite some time. And I've always been intrigued by this concept and like intrigued by this book, and I know a few of my friends are as well, so I decided to like, you know, read it for them. And basically the book that I snuck into this video, because basically it's popular on BookTok and also contains a really popular romance. Technically isn't a romance, but I still wanted to read it nonetheless, and that is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. I read These Violent Delights I think in 2020, and I really fell in love with it and just the way that Chloe Gong told her story. I'm really excited to see how this ends as a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I'm hoping it ends the way that Romeo and Juliet ends. And so yeah, those are the 6 books that I'm planning to read for this video, but let us get right into the first book, which is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This one I've already kind of started to read, and this basically follows Catalina Martin, who basically needs to find a date to her sister's wedding in Spain before she goes there, otherwise her ex-boyfriend and everyone else there will know about the little white lie that she's been telling about her new American boyfriend. And in the 4 weeks leading up to the wedding, she comes across Aaron Blackford, a 6'4" insufferable pain in the ass. Catalina is desperate, and as the clock ticks more and more towards the wedding, Aaron is becoming more and more desirable of an option. And so I'm really excited to see how the kind of like love-hate aspect of their relationship works out. And yeah, this basically is an enemies to lovers fake dating romance, 2 things that I quite love. Perfect for those looking for a steamy slow burn with the promise of a sweet, happy ever after. That basically sounds great. It's the longest book of the bunch that I'm reading today, I think, apart from Our Violent Ends, but I'm excited to see how this story goes. I'm gonna get to reading and I'll catch up with you once I finish, give my whole thoughts and opinions, the whole spiel, you know how it goes, and then we're gonna get on to the rest of the romance reads. So yeah, I guess for now, I'll see you in a bit, besties. Good morning, besties. So last night I finished The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, and I am basically between a 4 and a 5 star with this. It's like 4.5, however I don't like giving half stars because 1, Goodreads doesn't let me do that, and 2, Notion doesn't let me do that. It's gonna be at 4.5 unofficially, but let's talk about the story because I really like this. I love kind of like how it was set up in the beginning, where it was kind of in media res, so that we didn't need to have this whole setup of Lena needing someone to attend the wedding with. It was already established and Aaron was already offering to be Lena's date to the wedding. And I just love that because it just stops kind of any unnecessary like build up and exposition happening, and I was really appreciative of that. And then the plot did progress at quite a well pace, and we got to see the development between Catalina and Aaron build. We get to see a little bit more of Aaron in the way that he basically does listen to Catalina and listen to like the things that she says throughout, like to her friends and colleagues and workers. I also like the inspection into women in the workplace and how they're often under the gaze of misogyny through their male colleagues, and they're often put into positions where they're not able to speak up. I also love how the workplace drama does play an aspect into Aaron and Catalina's relationship. Catalina as a character is actually very well developed throughout this because she doesn't think she can trust anyone, doesn't think that she can really put herself in that position to love again. She thinks that she needs to show everyone that she's happy and that she can do things, but she really learns along the way that she needs to realize that she can be happy. Aaron, we get to see kind of like shy away from that kind of cold, hard exterior and then come more and more warm towards Catalina, and it was just really cute. I really love Catalina's family and the dynamic between Lena and like everyone else in the family. I think one specific quote that I really loved was when Lena's mother was talking about like matching outfits for the wedding, and Lena was like, no, you know Isabel would be mad about that, and she's like, like, oh, I might have a voucher. You are my daughter. You should be able to use my vouchers. And I was like, that was so cute and adorable, and exactly something my mum would say about the internet as well. I think my main kind of thing that I was a little bit disappointed in was two things. One, we didn't actually get to see the wedding ceremony between Isabel and Gonzalo, and I really think that should have been included because it was the thing that we were basically culminating towards, this wedding. Another thing I wish was included, just for like my own personal sake, and I'm not like going against the novel for this at all, was the open date that Lena had to plan in the beginning. Because we didn't get to see it at the end and all of the work that she put in kind of pay off, it kind of just felt like that was just put in so that we could see more into like the women's role in the workplace and how they're often scrutinized. But then I also really wanted to see like her work pay off and her being complimented for her work. I also wish we got to see the scene of a certain person being dismissed from the office, because boy did I hate that man. Boy did I hate that man. And I'm glad he's gone. Bang, and the deer is gone. But now, like, this is a very strong start, and I'm glad that I read this, and I'm glad that TikTok recommended it to me, because it just ended up being everything that I hoped and a little bit more. And also the fact that Aaron Blackford learned Spanish. A good man. A good man. The next book we'll then be getting onto is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This one, I didn't know Erin Sterling was actually a pen name for Rachel Hawkins, who also wrote Her Royal Highness, which I gave 1 star on Goodreads. And so I'm a little bit apprehensive now that I've learned that fact. However, I still have really good hopes for this book. I've heard really good things about it, and plus the text inside, like the font size, is literally massive. And so I'm like, I'll probably get through this really quickly. And so this book follows Vivienne Jones, who basically wants to cast a little harmless hex on her horrible boyfriend, Reese Penhallow. However, when their town is then attacked by murderous wind-up toys, a pissed-off ghost, and a talking cat, Reese and Vivienne are gonna have to work together to break the breakup curse before someone gets very hurt. And yeah, it just sounds like it's gonna be a very good read. I'm hoping this will be a good book. And so yeah, I'll see you in a bit, besties. Hello, besties. So I finished The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, and I really wanted this to be one that I really liked. I really wanted this to be something that I was going to enjoy a lot. It just didn't do it for me. I'm probably gonna end up giving this 2 stars, I think, because I enjoyed it for like some of it, and I think I will be checking out the sequel that's coming out, purely because I am invested in the pairing that's going to be from that story. However, I don't know what it is about this story. I think it was a multitude of things. I think the first thing is that the believability of this relationship, it just didn't come across to me as like believable, purely because they had been together for only 3 months, and we're supposed to believe throughout the 9 years that have passed since, they still like really love each other like that. And I'm not convinced by that. I think the way that the relationship had been building across the story wasn't really that convincing to me either. I also felt like the plot with the whole hex/curse was a bit underwhelming, because by the time I felt like some investment in the plot, we were already like 75% of the way through the novel, and I was just like, it didn't grip me as much as I was hoping. Plus, I wish we had got some more Welsh within this book. I know it's a very like niche criticism. The only Welsh word he literally says is cariad. During the book, like, Erin Sterling writes that he mutters some Welsh, like he utters Welsh sentences or talks Welsh sentences, but what were those sentences? What exactly is it that he's saying? And I think that's why I appreciate the Spanish love deception a lot more, because it incorporates the Spanish language into it, whilst in this it's just like he just speaks this language and you're supposed to like kind of infer something that he's saying. And I just wish we had got that Welsh language. But overall, it was a kind of like feel-good story almost, of like 2 people getting together, and I did enjoy that. I think that's where this book kind of failed for me, because I wasn't convinced by the stakes. If you're going to threaten a character with death, I kind of want to have a character threatened with death. I think that's for me like reading fantasy and like sci-fi and stuff, so I guess it's more so up to like personal preference and personal taste. Didn't really feel like there was enough in this book for me to grip onto, and like there wasn't really a lot of character development. I just feel like there could have been more to do with the characters and the development, and it just wasn't it for me, unfortunately. Well, now I'll be moving on to the book that I'm kind of most anticipating with this video, because I think this is the one that's been highly recommended the most alongside The Spanish Love Deception, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Ali Hazelwood. It's another like fake dating romance story, and I'm kind of feeling like I might be liking fake dating as a trope overall, but I think by reading this book I shall know whether that's the case or not. That will be my hypothesis. Do I like fake dating as a trope? We shall see. I mean, I love it in Korean dramas, so I feel like this is what I'm feeling like. A lot of these like romance books are kind of leading into tropes that I really like seeing in Korean romantic comedy dramas. And so this basically follows third-year PhD student Olive, in which she tries to convince her best friend An that she's basically over this boy that An is interested in, and so she decides to kiss the first man she sees, which is probably her worst mistake, as it turns out to be Dr. Adam Carlson, who's basically known as like quite an asshole in the lab. And so together they basically concoct this kind of like fake dating scenario. I'm thinking it's probably going to be mutually beneficial to both of them, and Olive basically discovers that the only thing more complicated than having a hypothesis on love is having your own heart underneath the microscope. I'm really excited to read this. I've heard that it's kind of like Raylo fanfic, so I'm interested in that, but I'm just interested in seeing the story overall. I'm just hoping it does very well, and yeah, I'm excited for it. So I'm gonna get to reading the love hypothesis, and I'll catch up with you once I finish, and I'll give my whole thoughts and feelings then. So I'll see you in a bit. Hello besties, so I finished The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and I think this is one of my favorite romances that I have read so far throughout the entire like romance reading series. Like, I think it's because the storyline is very rooted within academia and like representation in STEM, like more women in STEM, more people of color in STEM, more women of color in STEM, and just it tackles like academia whilst also having this like fake dating romantic plot line, whilst also we get to see a great development of both of our characters and like both of them like facing their internalized fears and also the external struggles that pervade within this academic environment. I can really see why a lot of people on TikTok recommend The Love Hypothesis. It was just stunning. I think it was literally just because of the like setting, and I was just really enthralled by it, and just seeing like working people within this environment have like everyday struggles, have the student struggle, and then also see people have like these kind of real conversations surrounding the academic field. It was really nice, but then to have like a fake dating relationship woven throughout, which then slowly becomes real. Olive as a protagonist was amazing. I just love the way that she kind of has this kind of like resolute purpose in her research, and just there's like a personal reason why she wants to do her research, but then also there's a doubt in her own ability and the doubt in herself. It's something that I quite relate to a lot. It's kind of like that kind of imposter syndrome that a lot of people face within academia, and Olive kind of goes through this a lot throughout the novel, and it's just amazing to see the support that she gets from Adam and the support that she gets from her friends as well, like the friendship group that she has with An and Malcolm. That was just amazing and stellar. I loved how we also got developments of An and Malcolm throughout the novel as well. They didn't just feel like 2D side characters. You can really tell that Ali Hazelwood is passionate about academia and more specifically STEM, and it comes across really, really well in her writing. I'm just really excited to read more of Ali Hazelwood's work. I know she has her next novel coming out this year, and there's some like novellas that have come out already, and I've discovered through this book that I really like it when the book has a good substantial plot or like side plot to itself, and the romance is kind of like embedded within that plot. But also I've discovered I really like the fake dating trope, and I think I could do like a whole video on like specific tropes as well, like romance reading vlogs, so I definitely think fake dating will be one. But yeah, I just think I want to close this review off by just saying like I would recommend this book right away if you're looking for like a really cute romance to read. I think the conversations surrounding women and women of color in STEM were also really, really well done, and I love how at the end in her author's note Ali Hazelwood points to resources that people can use to go look at more information in regards to this. It just shows that academia needs to be more equal in terms of the representations of gender that we see across the spectrum, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing like Ali Hazelwood's next novel and what she writes next, and I'm probably gonna eat that up like really, really well. The next book that I'll then be reading is one that I'm quite excited to read because one of her other novels is one of my most anticipated reads for the year, and so we've got Beach Read by Emily Henry. And yeah, I'm really excited for Book Lovers that's coming out later this year, but I wanted to really get a sense of Emily Henry's writing before I get into this, and I'm really excited by this because Beach Read basically follows Augustus Everett, who writes literary fiction, and January Andrews, who writes best-selling romances. And whilst January writes happily ever afters, Augustus swiftly kills all of his characters off, which, you know, as a reader, that really hurts. The only thing they have in common is that they have to spend the next 3 months in neighbouring beach houses, but then after a series of confrontations, they strike a deal. Augustus will write something cheerful and happy, whilst January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of a rom-com montage, and Augustus will take her to death cult interviews. No, literally. But together, they might overcome their writer's block and actually finish a book. And they won't fall in love. No. No. But actually, we're all really expecting it, and it's what I'm really looking forward to and seeing how this relationship develops and grows. And so this really gives me feels of like enemies to lovers almost, in which I'm really excited for it. But yeah, I've just heard so many great recommendations for this book, and I'm really excited to see like why it's so popular on TikTok as well. And so yeah, I'll see you in a bit, besties. Hello besties. I finished Beach Read by Emily Henry, and there was a lot we need to discuss because there was a moment in which I was sobbing. Not sobbing, but like crying during this book. It was like near the end where she opens the safe and then begins to read, if you know what I mean without going into too much spoilers. Yeah, that hit me. It hit me like really hard, and I didn't expect it to. I didn't expect this book to go as dark as it went. Honestly, we were talking about like death cults and like romantic stuff, but then also we get like a little bit into the trauma, a little bit into the kind of like hurt past of some of the characters, Augustus and January more specifically, and it just hit in a way that I wasn't expecting. But I love this book. I'm giving it 4 stars. I know, like, if I cried, you'd think I'd give it 5 stars. However, for me, the middle kind of sagged a bit. Yeah, it's on the same level as like the Spanish love deception. I keep on going for the Spanish love hypothesis, and I'm like, that would be a really good like mashup novel, but that's not the title. But like, I just found myself feeling a lot better after reading this book and feeling like healed in a way. I just love January as a character. I love the like journey she goes on throughout this novel, but I also really love how this book is basically a novel about healing and like finding solace with one another and being able to feel chosen and feeling like you're worthy of love and feeling like you have been chosen by someone to be loved. And I really enjoyed it, and I just think that there's a lot in this book that can resonate with a lot of different audiences. I really loved the setting and like the book club and just like the little tense situations that we got to, like Augustus and Naomi, Sonia and January. Okay, my favorite thing as well is just like the realism of like writer's block and like the writing like group that Augustus and January form with one another, and just the way they have this like co-working relationship initially. It wasn't as enemies to lovers as I was thinking it was gonna be. It's kind of like rivals slash like I haven't seen you in so many years, but like reconnecting to lovers. Pete was just great. I loved Pete. Pete, chef's kiss. Like, wow, can run a bookstore and a coffee shop. Iconic. But also, I really love the audiobook for this, like the narrator for the audiobook. I've been listening to all of these books via audiobook and the physical book. I don't know what it is with that kind of combination, but it really helps me maintain focus on the book, and it really helps with my ADHD. And I don't know, it just helps me get through books a lot quicker than I usually do. I have it on like 3 times speed, and I'm able to like keep up and like read this. And it was just brilliantly done, and I really loved it. And yeah, it was just a great book. Now I'm gonna be moving on to like the last like romance book of this video, and this one I picked this up because like I wanted a weird one. I wanted something that like a lot of people have read and hyped, but also one that was like not specifically traditional romance. And so we have Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. I'm just excited for this because aliens, sci-fi romance, and I've seen Mina, my friend, really like this. She also did warn me that there are trigger warnings, so she gave me some of them, and then I went on to Goodreads and found some more, so I'll have them in the description down below, just in case you're interested in reading this and want to check out the trigger warnings before reading. But yeah, this basically follows Georgie, who's abducted by aliens and then taken to another planet, and then she meets Vectal, who basically, his chest starts purring and then says that he's her mate. And yeah, I know there's quite a bit of smut in this as well, so we'll see how I feel about that. But I'm just really excited about reading this and seeing like how weird it gets. I also have the audiobook for this, and I listened listen to the sample, and I don't know why, it cracks me up. I'm gonna get to reading Ice Planet Barbarians, and then I'll be back in a little bit to discuss it. The audiobook on 3 times is literally like 2 hours, so you might just see me with the same thing in a bit, or I might change for like the drama, the effect. Nah, I'm lazy. Yeah, I'll see you in a bit, besties. So I didn't change outfits, but I did change seating positions. But I finished Ice Planet Barbarians, and in the beginning I was gonna be like, okay, we'll see how we feel about characterization, plot, world building, etc. And then I got to about like 25% of the way in, and I threw all that out the window. I was like, there is no way I can rate like that just on that. This is literally just a novel about a woman that crash lands on an alien planet and she gets fucked, basically. There is a romance in there, and it's kind of cute in a way to see them overcome a language barrier and then, you know, begin to understand one another. It was just absolutely hilarious. Like, I think the audiobook made it 10 times funnier than it should have. And like, Georgie as a main character is just iconic. Like, it's just the way that she's like, I'm gonna be a leader, and then she goes off and she just gets into like a series of events. This is the thing I was most shocked at. The world building was actually really good. Like, we really got to have a look at like this alien life, a look at the planet, the climate, and then more information about like the creatures that live there. I was like fully shocked. I was like, okay, world building, come through. I will give this like a 3 stars overall, because I don't think it's at the same level as like the Spanish Love, Deception and Beach Read. However, this just was funny. This was just absolutely hilarious. I do think I will probably check out more of the books in the series potentially. It was just one of those books where it was just good for the vibes, you know, and good for like what it gave, and the writing was pretty decent. A lot of the trigger warning stuff does happen at the very beginning of the novel, which made me think it was going to be a lot more serious than it actually turned out to be. But then once we got past like the beginning, more of like the hilarity and kind of like the actual gravity of the situation kicked in, and then yeah, this just took a lot of turns. I kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. We'll now be moving on to the last book of this video, and the kind of romance slash non-romance book, and that is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gone. I'm purely putting this in this video because I wanted to like read this, and it's popular on TikTok as well, so why not? I probably won't give all of my thoughts in this video, purely because I'm probably going to save that for a wrap-up. After seeing how these Violent Delights ended, I'm really intrigued to see how Our Violent Ends continues, and just see like how everything comes to a close, and then have my anticipation for Foul Lady Fortune. I really like the way that Chloe Gong writes. I think that she just is able to capture the voices of her characters really well, and I'm excited to see how it ends in the violent way. So yeah, I'm gonna get to reading this, and I'll catch you in a bit and wrap up this entire romance video. I'm having a good time. I'll see you in a bit, besties. Oh gosh, right, I had to cross my legs because this new office chair really allows me to cross my legs whilst I'm sitting, and it's literally bliss. But anyways, I finished Our Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and I'm feeling so many things right now. Romance-wise, this book performed really well in the development of Romeo and Juliet. I'm just still shook. I'm still shook by this book. It was just really well written. It was really well done. I really enjoyed it. I think we got to see a lot more character development, not only from Romeo and Juliet, but also from a lot of the side characters as well. Like, Marshall is just such a sweet baby child. And him and Benedict, chef's kiss. But romance-wise, for this vlog, performed well. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to read Foul Lady Fortune. Tune in to my February wrap-up for more of my thoughts, because I feel like I'll go more into like the nitty-gritty with this book, like not spoiler-wise, but just like what I liked about it more so. Romance-wise, it really fed in well to the plot and kind of the core themes of Romeo and Juliet, what it kind of symbolizes, what it's about, and I am just really happy with the way this ended. ended, and I'm really, really glad that it ended the way that it did. From like a literary criticism standpoint, like it really does well in the way that it does play to Romeo and Juliet conventions. The audiobook for this was amazing. Cindy K's narration was just really good. I enjoyed it, and now it makes me want to go back to These Violent Delights and listen to the audiobook as well, because then re-listening to it with Cindy K's narration, I think that'd be really good. I think that'd be really good. This book was great. 5 out of 5 stars. And I'm really excited to see what comes next in Foul Lady Fortune. And so these were the 6 popular TikTok book recs that I read for this romance reading vlog. And I can say TikTok does have some pretty good taste. Like, I had a really fun time reading these picks. One of them was a bit of a miss for me. However, the rest of them really kind of like satisfied me in some way. I'm really excited to see like more TikTok recommendations, not looking at just the most popular ones, but seeing what TikTok recommends in general. And like looking at like the trend of what TikTok usually recommends, I see that it's often more so a bigger, taller man, more muscular man, and then a shorter, more petite woman. And like seeing it through the Spanish love deception and the love hypothesis, and then also potentially Beach Read as well, because there was a little bit of there and that. And more specifically as well, Ice Planet Barbarians, that definitely had it. There's that kind of like dynamic of like the way that these protagonists should look, and seeing that was kind of interesting. The diversity of the book picks wasn't really present. Like a lot of these books do feature white protagonists, and like all of these books do follow cis-het relationships, and so I would like to see like more queer romances and more romances featuring people of color become popular on BookTok. Not saying that they might not be any already. I mean, I've only been on BookTok for like a little bit now, so this could just be me not like scanning the platform enough, but from what I've seen looking at like the most popular BookTok recs and seeing like BookTok recommendations in like Waterstones and other bookshops, it seems like a lot of the time the romances do feature white characters more prominently and also feature straight relationships more prominently, with a few exceptions, aka red, white, and royal blue. And I would like to see like more diversity in that selection. I think I definitely want to do a romance reading vlog specifically on queer relationships, and then one specifically on like POC relationships as well. So that would be quite nice to just like highlight more recommendations, because whilst like I am exploring romance, I definitely want to still advocate for the demographics that I've always been advocating for. And yeah, that is basically that from me. If I had to pick a favorite read from today's video, it would have to be The Love Hypothesis, but Beach Read and The Spanish Love Deception comes at a close second. So if you're looking for like a good romance, I would recommend these 3 books because they're amazing. If you're looking for like something that you want a bit of a laugh with, I would recommend Ice Planet Barbarians, although heed the trigger warnings for the very beginning of the novel. That's all I'll say about that. And yeah, so that is basically the books that I am recommending. And I've just had a lot of fun today. Like, I know a lot of you have been asking for the 3rd part of this romance reading vlog series for a while now. There's one person on Instagram who like DMs me a lot asking for it. And so I hope that I'm finally able to like fulfill that wish for you. But I would love your recommendations for, specifically in the comment section, fake dating romance, romances with queer characters, and then also finally romances with people of color in. Those are probably the 3 next ones I'll probably be focusing more so on, although there is one other romance kind of vlog that I have in my brain that I might also do next. Before we wrap up today, I want to give one massive thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. If you have a US-based shipping address, then you can use the link in my description and use code FATES in order to get your first Book of the Month box for only $9.99. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, be sure to click that subscribe button so you're notified whenever I upload next. I'll have all my social medias linked in the description down below, so you can go and follow me on every single other platform. And yeah, should I start creating BookToks? Shall I start creating TikToks? Who knows? But I do have some plans. I do have some ideas. I think it's definitely something I want to do this year. I just don't know when, because obviously my room isn't a massive space, and so I don't think I have the capacity or like the space to create TikToks right now. However, when I move, that could happen, but we'll see. But yeah, I guess until the next time, bye besties.